Oh. 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 Hold on a second. Look at this. Oh. Something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there.
Yeah, I saw it. Something's stuck in there, I think.
Let's turn it over and give it a shake. Looky.
It's a tiny fragment of metal. It looks like the tip of a blade or something.
The tip of a blade? Surely it couldn't be. A small piece of metal looks like it might be the tip of a knife blade. It was stuck inside the bowl of Mr. Gardev's pipey pipe. Okay then. Let me examine some other stuff. This must be made by the knife as well. There's a small nick out of the bowl here. Look. Appears to have been made relatively recently.
And see how there are little scrapes and dents all over it? It's clearly a well-loved pipe.
Yeah, you're right. It seems to me recently that being well-loved goes hand in hand with getting some battle scars. This particular nick is catching my eye though, because it's clearly new. Okay then. What about this though? It looks to be in a sorry state with that bandage around it, doesn't it? But for some reason, it feels slightly ominous to me. Like it's trying to shout out a warning. Probably because it's the same blue as Mr. Gardev's dressing gown.
I suppose it must have considerable sentimental value to Mr. Gardev. Even that he's gone to the trouble of repairing it like this.
Either that, or he cannot afford to replace it. Yeah, hold on a second. Let me examine this a little bit right over here. This is the tiny piece of metal we found in the chamber of Mr. Gardev's pipe.
It looks like the tip of a blade or something.
The tip of a blade?
Is something wrong, Miss Naruto?
I don't really know. There's just something niggling me, but I cannot quite put my finger on what it is.
Perhaps in that case, it would be wise to examine some of the other pieces of evidence again?
Some of the other pieces? Well, let me see about the knife right over here. Like it fits like a glove.
Oh, look here, Miss Naruto. Just a tip.
I could be wrong, but I've just got a feeling. You remember this?
Oh, that's a tiny fragment of metal that we found inside Mr. Gardev's pipe.
Yep, and just maybe.
Oh my, it's a perfect fit.
Somehow I just knew it. Yeah, would you look at that? It's perfect. Alright. Like we can totally use this. Actually, let me see. Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I'd noticed if one or two went missing, I'm afraid. Yeah, that probably there. Wow. If you want proof, then... Well, actually, hold on. Ah, there you go. A large folding knife, the tip of which has broken off and was found inside Mr. Gardev's pipe bowl. Yeah, it was updated, actually. We can present this, because I was thinking, should we present this? Or should we present this? Like, I was thinking that this jackknife is not going to have, like, any description of that it is going to be of good use, but we should present this, but... I mean... Should I present this, or... Should I present this now? Nah, you know what? I feel like just to be safe, I'm gonna see about presenting this. Like, this fragment of metal was found in the pipe. It's a perfect fit for the missing tip of the knife found in the victim's back. Yeah, I feel like either of those can work, but I think I'm gonna go with this. Mr. Gardev, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please? Can ask, but I cannot see a bloody thing from here. You can't? You used to call me Dead-Eyed Deb back in the regiment, of course. But that was some time ago now. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D, and a P from a Q, to be honest. Yeah, it is definitely a tough thing. I'm sorry, Gardeb.
Oh, he does. Hear me. It's rather worrying being asked about every other letter in every other word.
Okay, well, that's not... I hope that that's not the case. You have to ask John every single time. You must be very dizzy. Okay, now I got that. What is that? A tiny scrap of metal? Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Gardev's pipe. My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how that got there. What precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it is somehow related to the method of the stabbing on Briar Road? I am. What? When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord. She has like a box that she sits on. I guess makes sense. Remember the times when, like, back when I was with Nick and Maya, like during the first days of Nick's career as a defense attorney, and we had to cross-examine a child? They had to use a box for that child as well, just so that he is on a good level so that we can see him. Boy. Feels like such a long time ago, wow. Very well then. Present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case? It will be this, Your Honor. The jackknife with which you can throw it at people like a kunai. Take that! This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you will see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing. A common issue with inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt this tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim. Objection! No, that's not the case. I mean, if you were to do an autopsy, you know, you will more than likely find out that there is no such thing as a tip inside the victim's body. Again, I'm talking about the victim as if they are dead. They're not dead! Like they're in coma. Well, either way, if you were to search that place, there will be no tip. Same case if you were to try and find it on the streets. If you were to look there, you wouldn't find it. That tip from that knife is the same tip that we found right here in the pipe. The tip of his particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Gardev's pipe. Ah! Good grief. Lord Von Zeeks? Well, you were having a heart attack there? What happened, Zeeks? I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good golly gosh! Hold on! Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? No? Could very well be. It could be quite the sorcery, quite the illusion. Ooh. But in this case, it's not that. Mage Noby will definitely make his return soon enough, folks. He will one day, I assure you. I assure you. This is no magic, my lord. Well, I beg to differ, but, you know, it's your interpretation. I'm not gonna deny that. This is a miracle. Ah, I can agree with that as well. A miracle. So Van Zix has figured it out, has he? Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once. Well, if you were to explain that thing, it would be such a miracle. We would all go to the Golden Land. Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is, when did the fragment of the metal find its way inside Mr. Gardev's pipe?
Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony.
I had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knock it clean out with one of her soft projectiles. She did, yes. You would never been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Oh, dearie me. During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Gardev flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Gardev, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off, of course, and then land where the window was. Good lord! Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Gardev's pipe. The chances that are 1,000,000 to 1! I would say a quadrillion to 1, even. Again, with my Yumineko references. Go read Yumineko. And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out the open window. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Gardev's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back of the street below. Oh gosh, dear, oh no!
Objection!
A full-bodied theory. I'll give you that. A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument. Sorry? Can you speak in layman terms? I don't understand you. But after all, it is just a theory. The ball, I fear, is corked. Because you see, it's spoiled by an unsurmountable inconsistency. An insurmountable... What? Lord Van Zix, explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with a knife planted in the middle of her back. Yeah, in her... Oh. So what you're trying to say over here is that it would have been impossible for the victim to have the knife, for her to be stabbed in the back, since the Gardev were on their own floor. Like, if the knife were to land on the victim, they would more than likely land somewhere on the shoulder or the head, which definitely would have been quite bad.
That's right. You silly little man.
Now, Jonathan, what are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife that struck her had fallen from above, there's no possible way it could have planted itself into the victim's back. Order! Order!
Quite right, you see. That's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of her head.
Well, alright, Renaska. You gotta concentrate. We are so close to the finishing line. You can do this. Just as Kazuma would think of you as a great defense attorney, I do so too. And you truly are.
He's lost for words. Look, I knew it. I never liked his theory in the first place.
I don't know though. What really did happen?
It appeared the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder.
The theory has even one inconsistency. It cannot stand. As long as it's not 100%, it cannot be good. Even a 99% would be a 0%. Okay, I'm done with the Yumineko references. I swear, I'm done with them for right now. Your theory, my learned friend, is history. We're so close. I could see the truth. So sure we're on the right track. Now the way has been blocked completely. By just one simple inconsistency.
Or in other words, I simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency, and the theory will stand.
It's subtle.
You mustn't worry, Miss Narado. You were just caught off guard, that's all. And your mind went blank. But if the path you are on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there.
Since you have nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. It's a test. Yes. If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way that it could have hit her in the middle of her back. Only in a certain special occasion, the knife would land on her back that way. Under normal circumstances, that is. What are you implying? Counsel? There is a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer. Goodness! Utter madness! Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. This is the last inconsistency, the final piece in the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. Evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back is. Okay. In which case, let's see about recreating the scene of the crime a little bit over here, before the victim went fully unconscious. So, somebody threw the book out, which would definitely be Mrs. Gardev. They would throw the book out the window and it would land right in front of the victim, olive green. What would a normal person's reaction be to this? Seeing a book that landed right in front of them? It would be to pick it up. They would try to pick it up, and their back would totally be exposed to what is above. And when that back is exposed, BAM! There's the knife!
Take that!
This, the fourth book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present. The burnt book. Is that not Mr. Gardev's book? Yes. And to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand. But, as we all know, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. And it was put like that for a reason. He found it the exact same way, reason why they put the book there in similar fashion. Quite so. As part of his wholesale transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road. That's true. However, as part of his testimony, Constable Beat made an extremely enlightening statement on that point. But what made he place that book in the victim's hand?
Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand.
In other words, the victim had already picked the book up of her own volition. And clearly, that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd have been doing much of anything. So the question becomes, why did the victim have the book in her hands? Well, by Chingo! I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now.
Oh, dear me.
Yeah, this song is quite something. We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Gardev household onto the pavement below. At precisely the moment that the victim was walking past. Yes, at exactly that moment. The young woman was walking along the street in the light fall, when all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her.
The book I threw.
Yes, Miss Gardev. And what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and then suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement?
Well, I really can't imagine it. I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up.
Exactamundo. That is exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book.
Oh heavens!
And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. When suddenly, something falls from above. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, the next object fell from the room above. The jackknife, straight into the middle of her back. And at that same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green, was the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Oh, I never! It appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor, in the dark and the fog, and see the knife falling on her from above. Then from the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. Yep, this solves the problem. Like, it can have been Constable Rolly and Patricia. It can be Natsume. They saw no one else. So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place. No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. Yep. That's what I've been thinking of from the very start. All but unfortunate accident. Tampering evidences, accidents happening, and yet no murder. No true culprit with a clear motive. And that is the real truth behind this case. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garideb, I thank you all for participating in our show. The very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wondered if perhaps it might have been something like that. There, Obi. Oh, Mrs. Garideb. Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? Well, technically you were in a rage and you were about to kill your husband. You had clear motive there, but excluding that, in my eyes, I see it as nothing but an accident. You knew nothing of Holy Queen. You had no motive. You were enraged at your husband, and by accident, one of the things that you threw landed on somebody else. I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book. And I threw the knife as well. John, dear. That's alright. I know. I am ever so sorry. Truly. I'm sorry. Lord Van Zix, what news of Mrs. Garideb? She's been taken to the infirmary. It appeared that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There is no cause for concern. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could easily have been a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions. I hope it's not something severe. There is some good news, however, my lord. I just had word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she will regain consciousness soon. It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but you never once met her.
Oh, wonderful. The woman is out of danger, it seems.
Yeah, that is good news. So, Mr. Sasagi Natsume. Yes. On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture, and have been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. No, it is me who should be begging your pardon. Oh no, Miss Natsume. That evening, when a young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again, in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? I was sure that the woman was dead.
Yeah, Constable Beats said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she had been killed too.
I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless. It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I still cannot get used to life here. I cannot relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me, even as we speak. Where's Saseki-san? His imagination really has got the better of him.
Yeah, poor man.
So when it happened, I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help. For the doctor. For the police. Instead, I managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires. And for that, I am truly sorry. One can indeed say that some sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. Never be fooled by the spirit and led to false conclusions. Now that I'm thinking about it, you know, with all this being revealed, it really all started from a letter that was inside a book that that John actually had seen, and thus the rage began, and thus the knife has been thrown, and thus the victim got stabbed, didn't die, but it led to her being in a hospital, and in turn it led to Patricia and Rolly to do what he did, thus leading to that punishable outcome of no longer being an inspector and such, which did not happen. Things have certainly turned out quite well, like a lot better than one could have imagined. It could have turned out a lot worse for everyone around here, but it didn't. And it all started from that letter. Like, a part of me thinks that maybe it was just a comedic effect, that maybe it was just a misunderstanding and such. And it could very well be. But maybe on a serious note, maybe that letter has some significance to something. In which case, holy crap, how could he even imagine, how could you possibly go and kill, like, Olive Green through that route? You would have to predict the future in that case, if it all started from the letter. Or maybe somebody sent that letter trying to make Miss Gardev think that John was cheating and such, thus it would lead to murder and such. Which was probably the reason why whoever sent that letter to John did that. They wanted Mr. Gardev dead. But nonetheless, for now, we have Soseki Natsume right over here, who's going to be declared not guilty, so that's good. But thanks to Lord Van Zeeks and our young lawyer here from the east, that chain has now been broken and the spirit exorcised. I heartily commend you both. Oh. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decisions regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? Yes, the foreman of the jury. I can assure you we've reached a fair and just conclusion.
I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times.
Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting in for the whole being while she's out of action, you know. but I know what her decision would be. Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Well, it's about damn time. I say, I'll have a corker of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I? Well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby demand your final decisions. Mr. Foreman.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Well, Mr. Soseki Natsume, I hereby pronounce you not guilty! Congratulations, Mr. Natsume. You are free to go. Finally, Mr. Natsume. You. Yes, Lord, sir. You are now a free man once more. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me. Oh, yes, sir. Of course. On my life, I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again. I'm transported to tears! Exclamation point. Thank you, consuls. Court is adjourned. Alright. We've done it, Ryunosuke! This was your first successful case with a happy ending. I hope that lifted your spirits a little bit when it comes to continuing your career as a defense attorney. Oh, locum! Wait, you mean me? Of course! Is there another locum here? Is there even one?
Compared to the original locum student, Mr. Naruto Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it?
What's wrong with using my actual name? Oh, at last. I'm free! I'm free! Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation! Heady, hearty, happiness, hurrah!
Oh, I'm pleased. Mr. Natsume is delighted.
Would it be so hard just to say that, then? Locum, you did it! You saved me from the brink! He's so happy that he is gonna go through the window and break through it like that. Well, what happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now. No, not that! Lovely, lawyer, locum, lawyer. Yes? I mean, as I said before, I've just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings. And from high up windows, I see them looking down on me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback.
Oh dear. I'm sure it's all in your head, Miss Natsume.
But today, your locum gave my gloom the boot. You stood firm behind that baronial bench before all those babbling British, all those bibble-bow babbling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. When I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the Bailey's roof, I bellowed, "Behold, the beast, barrister, ever born!" Oh, that's very flattering. Even though I understood none of that. This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan. An anecdote? Is that what's to become of all my hard work? Ah, there you are, my dear fellows. I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. Ah, Shams. Actually, before we continue talking with you, I do have to mention this. Like, I hope that we're gonna be able to return the bouquet back to Patricia and Rolly. Like, I also want to wish Rolly like a good a good path ahead to become an inspector one day. Hopefully we can catch him.
Oh, Mr. Shells, what a pleasure to see you.
I see I'm not here another moment too soon. A disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say.
Oh,
The trial shall begin presently, Miss Nerva. And I wish you the very best of luck. I think you arrived a little bit late, and you're probably thinking of something completely different over here. We aren't just starting a trial, we actually ended it. It's just finished, Sholmes. No, then my haste was in vain! Ah, it's you! Look, Sholmes! Oh? Have we met, sir?
this is Mr. Natsume, the man you had arrested, Mrs. Sholmes. Remember?
Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters have taken place in the room. Either your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light. How charming. This is all your fault, Herlock Sholmes. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. Oh God. He is gonna Hadouken the ever-living fuck out of Herlock Sholmes. I told you, sir, but I assure you, I have placed you now. Wasn't it that Street Fighter? Yeah, from my knowledge, Street Fighter is made by Capcom, right? Same case for the Ace Attorney series. I wonder if we're ever gonna have like a crossover between the two. I mean, we could possibly have like a fighting game for Ace Attorney. I mean, I heard that there is such a thing for Yumineko, so there's that. And maybe there... Nah, we still don't have that for Danganronpa. As such. No. That certainly blows. Ah! Had she been taken to hospital more urgently? I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now. Oh! It was unavoidable, I'm sure. We are but human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience. I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Oh, never mind, never mind. Now then, what was it that you wanted to say to me, sir? Nothing. Priceless. I'm so sorry, really, but... That was quite priceless. Poor Sasaki-san. Still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And it would seem you were not even found guilty. But there is no bright side.
What do you mean, Mr. Natsume?
Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirits, and now by the Reaper. Ah, Lord Van Zix. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. I haven't forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed!
It will be alright, Mr. Natsume. If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I'll protect you. Hiya!
Die!
With a perfectly executed Susato takedown.
Yeah, she has shown you quite an example there. Much as I like being turned on my head, a bit of a warning might be might be nice next time, Miss Sato. So, Miss Nutman, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan. Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon.
Oh,
It has already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honored with the tutelage of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here, and the city it has shaped. And I've come to realize that it is my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. Yep, you know what? I can totally agree with that. You go ahead, Saseki. Go to Japan, go back to your homeland, and tell your heroic stories.
that's very touching, Miss Natsume.
Or, in perhaps less veiled terms, you wish to withdraw halfway around the world, escape the terror of the Reaper's curse. I mean, yeah, there's that. That's probably one of the main reasons why he's doing this, but I think it's self-explanatory. I don't think we needed to state that. That's not it at all! The more I learn of literature, the more the strange feeling claws at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen a work of my own. Oh, I see. A work of literature by Soseki-san. Could be an interesting read. And what about Miss Sato and yourself, Miss Naruto? Sorry? What about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustache compatriot? Your response here, Ryanosuke? Why would we?
A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London.
Yeah, I was gonna respond here, but I wanted to hear it from Ryanosuke and Susato first. Cause I knew the kind of response that I wanted.
And only now does it feel as though we finally found our feet.
And you are accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? That's right. We need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us.
I calculated that we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted.
Well then, you could take my lodgings. The windowless room, you mean? But what it lacks in windows, it more than makes up for it with a floor, a ceiling, and walls. And walls? Great. Of course, I'll be happy to leave behind the accursed evil spirit.
Oh my, an evil spirit?
You're gonna leave us with the evil spirit? Will you go along and go back to your beautiful Japan? You gotta be kidding me. Oh yes, he tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call. And I feel like I talked about this before, but it doesn't help that you also use candles. Because that burns through oxygen. Like, when you use your candle, you definitely have to open the window to bring in more air inside. Well, think about it if that's alright. Perhaps I can offer a more welcoming alternative. We're gonna be leaving with Shongs! Would you consider taking lodgings with me?
Really?
Oh my goodness! It's like a fanfic turned into reality. Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself. Though it is up in the attic, I might add. It's better than nothing. Let's go! Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft? I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of.
Oh, This is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to take in lodgings in the great detective's office. This attic. I'm hard to overcome with words.
So suggesting we look elsewhere is out then. And it's so. Guys will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Miss Natsume. I insist! Oh, I don't know what to say. But thank you. And yes.
Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. It shan't take long.
Well, somebody is happy. Welcome. I knew that you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you in here in London. Likewise, Miss Natsume. It's been a privilege meeting you too. And, well, I do hope that we're gonna be able to meet each other in the future, hopefully. Just talk about stuff without you getting accused for another murder, that is, of course. It's a shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon. Oh, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But welcome. We'll meet again one day. Yeah, I'm sure. And hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer. Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Miss Natsume? What about the bouquet and Rolly and Patricia? Yes, Mr. Sholmes. I will doubt Miss Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening. Alright, well, I guess so. We're gonna come back. I'm gonna come back here. And so, Soseki-san's innocence successfully established. We rode Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home. 221B Baker Street. Oh, well, this is actually a lot better than I imagined, actually. Look at this. I can have 2 windows. You can surely put a bed around here. So this...
Used to be our new office, yes.
Our office. Oh yeah, there's also that. We gotta make our own office, of course. I really like the sound of that.
Me too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it?
I hope you can see this, Cosmo. It's only a small step, but I have to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now. So, my dear fellows, do you like the place? Oh!
Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, Miss Sholmes. Yes, thank you so much. That hair. Oh, so majestic.
It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. I simply adore it.
Finally dawned on me that I had never actually seen him without his hat. Good. I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you.
I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner. I'll eat as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives. I have a lot to celebrate.
Iris, you must let me help you.
Alright then, sissy. You be in charge of the salad. Splendid.
Alrighty then. So, Miss Naruto, how does it feel to have your own office in the capital? It's very exciting, actually. I cannot help wondering what adventures await us. Ah! The next case is probably going to be a huge one, isn't it? We had our case over here, our good old case with a happy ending over here, to balance things out from before, when we had nothing but really bad cases that made us suffer by the end. Now he finally had like one with a mostly, mostly a good happy ending and such. Now the next one is going to be a horrible one, isn't it? Those were precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is. Sorry? London is a glorious place, full of fun, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. But the brightest of lights casts the darkest of shadows. Shadows? What do you mean? Oh, I believe you are well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade. So once again, Miss Narodom, welcome to London. Of course, at the time, I had no idea of the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. But it wasn't long before my turn came to lift the facade and see the true depth of the murk that lay behind it.